I want to show you how to do the first lab. I think this is a good one to get you started on Excel. For those of you who might not be quite so familiar with it, or if you've forgotten what you've learned before. And in this short video, I want to show you how to do this, and then also want to introduce you to the data analysis tool pack, which I don't think I said anything about in the original introductory video. Okay, so to get started with, I made this because I want you to be able to answer a lot of the questions that I have heard over previous times of teaching this class, where people are not really clear on how they can model certain scenarios. And I thought this made kind of a nice introduction not only to Excel but also to what if analysis. So I ask you on the lab sheet to go ahead and download this and open it up, and then to put in some plausible numbers here. So we're just going to imagine, okay, what's going to happen. So I'll just fill this in with what I think might be a reasonable thing to expect. Well, maybe not that low though. So say 87. Okay. And then on the labs, so I might figure, well, these aren't too difficult, so I can expect to do well on these. Let me just throw some numbers in here. And one interesting thing about doing this sort of analysis is it doesn't really matter what numbers you put in. So for the kinds of questions that I'm asking, that is, how much of a difference on your final score does it make if you can raise your exam score by 5 points? The answer will always be the same, regardless of what numbers you put in here. Now, your final score will be different based on what you put in here, but the change in your final score will always be the same because the weightings are all the same. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is just come up with the average for each of these different segments. So we'll just use, so to do a formula in Excel, you just do equals and put the name of the function. So we'll take the average of all of these. So these 10 assignments average out to 84.1, it turns out. And these all average to this, okay? And these two average to this. And this is just going to be equal to the project, so I'll just do equal to that, okay? Okay, so now I have to combine these into my final score. So it's really just going to be, so B13 plus D13 plus F13, well, 2 times F13, because these are 100 points each, right? So there's 100, this is weighted 100, this is weighted 100. This is actually going to be weighted 200 because each of these is worth 100 each. Okay, and so then there's the final 100, and that's kind of okay. So we'll just say that we got a 95 on that component. Okay, so in order to calculate our final grade, then what we have to do is we need to kind of figure out what are the averages of average, taking into consideration that we need to count the exams twice. Okay, now one thing we could do is go ahead and expand this whole formula to just to reflect the what's on the syllabus rather than taking any shortcuts. So we're going to say, okay, so this is this first point is worth 100 points, right? So we'll do 100 times whatever that average was, okay, and that'll be so plus 100 times that. Okay, 100 times this, okay, plus 100 times this, except that we don't want to do 100, right, because there are 200 points here, so this will actually be 200 times this, okay, plus 100 times whatever is here, right? Okay, so is this everything? Well, this would be everything, except that we are basing this on 500 points, right? There's 500 points available for your grade. So, each of these sections is worth 100, so except for the exams, which is worth 200. We could just do 100 plus 71 plus 100 times 74, but this does the same thing. and then we divide that whole quantity by the total number of points that are available, which is 500. Okay, so it turns out that my class average, given all of these numbers that I put in here, is 83.45. Okay, and since I don't really go that many decimal places, it's not really possible. I'm just going to go ahead and go to 2 decimal places. Okay, all right. So now let's take a look at some of these scenarios that I gave you. Okay, which one? Okay, so if you raise your assignment score by 10 points, how much does your final grade increase? Okay, so we've got an assignment over here. Well, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's say that the 70 actually wound up going up to an 80. So we'll put an 80 there, and we'll see how it affects it. Okay, so actually that went kind of fast. So let me go ahead and note that the starting grade that I had was 83.45, and then my adjusted grade after doing the calculations, so that I can actually it'll just be there. That'll be the adjusted grade after we do the calculations, and then let's just store the difference. Okay, so we started at 83.45, and then we're going to adjust this up 10 points, and okay, so it turned out to go up by 0.2. So let's just go ahead and store that difference. We can calculate it, but we'll do that. So we'll do that minus that. Okay, so it went up by 0.2. So the answer to that first question is 0.2. Okay, all right, so let's, just for consistency, we'll go back to the original. Okay, and okay, so let's go on to the next question. If you raise an exam score by 10 points, how much does your final grade increase? Okay, let's take a look at that. Okay, so if you raise an exam score by 10 points, so all right, so once again, we're starting at 83.45, and we're imagining, let's just say that this first exam was in fact an 81. Okay, so now that went up not 0.2, but 2 full points. Okay, so this kind of drives home the point that exams, because they're worth so much, really, 10 extra points on an exam make 10 times the difference that 10 extra points on an assignment does. Okay, so I try to tell people that don't worry about a couple of points on the assignments, because it really doesn't make much difference, but definitely you'll want to make sure that you prepare really well for those exams. Okay, so let's go ahead and once again we'll go back to the original scenario and take a look at the question. Okay, so that's actually the wrong one. We'll come here. So if you raise your project score by 10 points, by how much does your final grade increase? Okay, so let's try it out. So once again, we start at 83.45, and I don't know if this is possible, but so we're currently at 95. So let's just say we went up to 105. Okay, and once again, that went up a full 2 points. So we were raised from an 83 to an 85. Okay, that really wouldn't make a difference in this case, but if we went from a 79 to an 81, that would definitely make a difference. Okay, make a difference in your letter grade. So, and the reason why that's the same as the exams is because each of the exams is worth 100 and the project is worth 100. Okay, so all right, let's look at the next one. That's once again the wrong one. Okay, if you miss a reading summary, getting a 0, how much does your final score decrease? Okay, so all right, we'll set this back to 95. Okay, so let's say we'll call the reading summary. Reading summaries fall under here, which is this lab assignments. So the reading summaries will be in here. They're worth the same, so we can actually just call one of these a reading summary, and we can go ahead and see what will happen if this one of these is a 0. Okay, so we in this case we went from an 83 down to an 80. and down, nearly 3 points. And that's because there were only 6 of these, so each one matters more. Okay, so the right answer there was 2.93 points. Okay, let's see. So I accidentally recorded one of your MyStatLab grades as an 83 instead of an 87. If I make the correction, how much does your grade change? So this is really just asking you, okay, if an assignment goes up by 4 points, how much of a difference does that make? Okay, so let's go back to this. So let's see. So let's bring this one up. Was it 4 points? Yeah, 4 points. Okay, so let's take this 90 up to a 94. So if we go 94, okay, so that changed us from an 83.45 to an 83.53. That in this case, that actually did make a difference, because this would round up to an 84, but that still wouldn't change the letter grade at all. So this is 0.08 points. Okay, so not really very much. Okay, and then finally, if your assignment, participation, and exams have all averaged 55, what do you need to get on the project to pass the class? Okay, so we need to get the final average up to a 60, right? So 60 is going to be passing. If everything is averaged 55 up to this point, what do we need on the project to get a 60? Okay, so this is what this is asking. Okay, these averages were all calculated, but if we know that it's 55, I'm just going to go ahead and put 55 here, 55 here, 55 here, and actually let me give myself one more row here. So 55, 55, 55. Okay, and so assignments, labs, and okay. So this is where we are so far, and then we need to know what do I need to put in here as my project score to get this up to a 60. Okay, so let's figure out what our course average is from just these, and then obviously that's going to be 100. And you probably notice I don't really need to be doing this because it's obviously averaging 55, but that's 100 points there, plus 100 points there, plus 100 points, 200 points there, 200 points there, okay, plus 100 times whatever the project score is, okay. So in this case then, okay, and then I just need to divide that by the total number of points for the course. Whoops, no, I don't want that correction. Hold on. Okay. I need to get my parentheses in there. Okay, so it looks like with a 95, let me get this up here. With 95, we're at a 63, so that's even more than we actually need, right? So let's bring it down. Let's try 91. Okay, that's still more than we actually need. Let's try 85. Okay, so that gets us up to a 61, so that's just slightly more than we need. So let's try 80, and an 80 gets us at exactly 60. Okay, so if you have averaged a 55 on everything, you should know that you need to get an 80 or better to pass the class. Okay, so it takes more to get that up to passing. Okay, all right. So go ahead and make sure that your answers agree with mine and that you know how to do this, and definitely keep this on your computer and use it to answer any questions that you do have about how you're doing, and you can do these projections and say, okay, well, I didn't do well on the first exam, but how well do I need to do on the second exam to get back up to an acceptable grade? Okay, so this should answer a lot of the questions that you have about your grade. Okay. All right, the other thing I want to do with this video is to show you about the data analysis tool pack. I don't think I did that in the first video, but let me go ahead and just give you a quick intro to how it works. So you're going to install it on Windows. The directions are slightly different on Macs, but you'll be going to File and Options, and then down here on Add-ins, you'll click there, And you'll get this big list up at the top that shows you the add-ins that you have already. But if you want to turn them on and off, you come down here to Manage and make sure that Excel add-ins is selected, and I'll click on Go. And the one that you need for now, you'll need some of these other ones later in the term, but for now you need this Analysis Tool Pack. So just make sure that's clicked. And then once it is, you're going to have this Data tab up here at the top, or this data, this data ribbon, okay? And it's got a lot of stuff up here, but the one that we're going to mostly be doing is this data analysis. So it'll always be data and then data analysis. So let's just to show you the kinds of things that this can do. I have some data here. This is, let's say this is delivery times. This is UPS delivery times in, this is hours and tenths of a minute. Okay, so it's 7 hours, 7.62 hours. So that's not 62 minutes, obviously, but 62 hundredths of an hour. Okay, so let's say these are delivery times, and we just want to get some sense of the distribution of this. The Data Analysis Tool Pack gives us a couple of neat tools. Let's first just do a histogram of this. So if I click Data and go to Data Analysis, and then come down here to histogram. Okay, this gives me the counts that fall within certain ranges. So this is my data. I can just select this data here. And then I've made some bins, and I'm going to select these are the bins that I want. So basically I want bins that I want to put everything together that's within half of an hour, 0.5 of an hour. So, and then I'll select chart output. We won't do Pareto for now, but you'll see that is available. Okay, and so this shows us how these delivery times are distributed. So we see that there's a bit of a left skew here because of these outliers here on the left, and but we've got this nice bell-shaped curve here. That's mostly, it looks like the delivery times are within 7, and we have a bit of a bimodality here with this 8-hour one. Okay, so that lets us do some histograms. Additionally, you can get some really quick descriptive statistics. So we will look roughly at how to calculate mean, median, mode, skew, that kind of thing. But we're not going to do a lot of calculation because the computer will do it for us very quickly. If we just come here to Data and Data Analysis and Descriptive Statistics, again, I can just select my data here, and then I will do Summary Statistics, and it will give me this output here of, so it tells me that here's the mean. Let me just to make it easier to read, make this not quite so many decimal places. So we see that we've got, a mean of 7.16, and don't look at that for now, but we've got a median of 7.9. So the median is less than the mean. Okay, so that's actually a right skew. We've got a standard deviation here. We've got a skewness. We've got the minimum. So somebody did it in less than 6 hours, and then somebody took more than 8 hours. And this is our, the total, and this is our count. So we get these, it gives you lots of nice shortcuts to these various things that were kind of a headache to calculate. And if you browse through here, this is kind of a preview of everything we'll be doing this term. We're going to be doing some ANOVAs, correlations. We'll definitely be doing these t-tests and regression, of course. Okay, all right. So that kind of orients you to the Excel and the first assignment here. And let me know if you have any questions about any of that. Okay, good luck.